Hey, Nish here, and today we're looking at the Kindle Paperwhite 10th gen. Now I did make a kind of comical rap video about e-readers and how they compare versus books, so if you're interested in that, check that out, but this is going to be a bit more of a serious review and focusing on the device itself. This is Amazon's mid-range e-reader. It has a 6-inch 300 dpi screen as well as a white LED backlight. It sets you back about £110 or dollars, and you can either get an 8GB model or 32GB. The device is made of a soft touch type plastic, and it is pretty darn slim and light, weighing at just 180 grams. This makes it really easy to hold one-handed. It really feels like nothing at all compared to a real book. It's IPX8 rated, which means you can submerge it in water, no problems at all, and it's charged by micro USB, which is hard to see here. Now, Amazon say that this will last 6 weeks with half an hour of reading per day, and I'd say that's a pretty reasonable estimate. It does take a long time to wear the battery down on this. The screen is pretty nice. It's completely flush with the bezels, so there's no inlet like you get on some devices, and I find the reading experience with that 300 dpi screen to be really good. The software experience is pretty okay overall. I opted to go for the ads included version, which saves you like £10 or dollars. They are a little bit annoying, like they show on the screensaver, they show on the homepage, but they're pretty easy to ignore in my opinion. Navigating around the Kindle is pretty straightforward, it's pretty logical. I haven't had any issues in that regard. And some other things to mention about the software: you've got Goodreads integration if you want to track the books you're reading and review things on there. And you also have Audible integration. This isn't something I've looked into a lot myself. I don't really listen to audiobooks, but from what I understand, it's quite well integrated. You can switch between a book and listening quite easily. As you may expect, you're limited to the Kindle store to buy books and whatnot, but you can obviously plug this into a computer and transfer over your own files, be that .mobi files or PDF files. As for the reading experience, which is probably the most important thing about this device, I find it really good. As I said, the screen is nice and sharp. There's a lot of text and text size options. You can adjust the margins. The settings aren't super granular for that. You might only have, say, 3 margin options, but I don't find that to be a big deal. There's a couple nice little features, like you can pinch to zoom in the text very quickly without needing to go through a menu. The backlight is a manual one, so it's not like the Kindle Oasis where it automatically adapts to your environment. You do have to manually go in and put that up and down, but it doesn't take too many button presses to do that, at least. Another handy feature is that you can save a set of settings as a theme and then quickly go back between one theme and another. Might be useful if you have a couple different people using the device. While you're reading, you're able to make notes by highlighting parts of the text. You can also define words and use the built-in dictionary. These are features I really appreciate. It's very useful. You can also add bookmarks by pressing on the top right of the screen. Performance-wise, I find it really good while reading. Like, page refreshes are very fast. You don't find you're waiting for that kind of thing. In terms of waking up and loading up books, it can be a little bit slow. You are sitting there waiting a lot, but I imagine there's not a lot of horsepower under the hood here. It's more about that e-ink screen. One thing I do find a little bit annoying is if you want to skim through a book and maybe find a place where you were, you can't really skim through many pages at once. You have to either spam the tap button, or you can kind of go on this page view where you can scan across with a mini screen. It's just generally not great, and I think this is more a problem with e-readers than the Kindle itself. It's just hard to flick back to an earlier part of the book quickly. You do have the contents in most cases, but if you have a specific page you want to get on, it's a bit tricky. When thinking about other options, for me the cheaper Kindle just isn't worth it because it has a much lower resolution screen, and I've used a device with that PPI screen, I think it's 167 PPI, in the past, and there really is a huge difference between that and what you have in here. I appreciate obviously everyone has a budget, but for me I think that jump up in price is justified at that point. The Kindle Oasis, however, is a much harder sell because it has the same pixel density on its screen, it's just an inch larger, and it does have improved ergonomics and physical page turning buttons, but for me that doesn't quite justify a doubling of the price. One other brand I think is a really good mention is Kobo, specifically the Libra H2O, which costs about £120. I've actually picked up one of those because I wanted to get something a little bit larger. It has a 7-inch screen like the Kindle Oasis. It has the same 300 ppi screen, and it has that ergonomic design with the physical page buttons. So I think that should be a really good shout. I'll be reviewing that and comparing it probably to the Kindle Paperwhite at some point, so let me know if you'd be interested in that. So I think I can close this rather brief review with a statement that I think the Kindle Paperwhite 10th gen is a really solid device. There's not a lot I dislike about it. I think it's a pretty competent device and a good first e-reader. If you have any other questions about it, do drop them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, subscribe for more to the point content and potentially some more e-reader content, and I'll catch you in the next one.